This third prime law of manifestation is reflection. So here we experience the progression, the natural progression of the first two prime laws, sound and direction, bringing you to the awareness that everything that is manifested in your world is a reflection of what you are or who you believe you are. What a stunning opportunity this is to use how we see the world around us as a catalyst for truly knowing ourselves. Greetings, my name is Tryshe Dhevney, and I am sitting here with my dear friend Jenn Savage, and we are now talking about the 5 prime laws of manifestation. So in this particular prime law of manifestation, we're talking about reflection. The third prime law of manifestation for this planet is that the planet's manifestation occurs by reflection only. That's quite a statement. We could even say that the planet itself is a reflection only, and does it really exist? Well, great minds have argued and discussed that for eons. But what we're talking about is what it is to manifest on this planet as a human being. And these are the laws that are relevant to us manifesting as us for each individual. And when the biblical phrase talks about manifestation, we immediately know that the energy is directed through sound and then directed. And now we're talking about the next step, and that being reflection. Who is being reflected and how? The reflection is of us. Everything on this planet is conceived out of reflection. That's a hard, hard truth. And it's the law that is my most favorite because it's the law that taught me the most. It's the law I had the greatest resistance to. And it says here in this book, The Story of Infinity by Greg Tiffin, what this amounts to is that your life has to be predicated upon these laws if you are to live harmoniously. When you look at someone and you find something that is distasteful, which you can do with just about anyone on the planet, you need to realize that what you are seeing isn't really the person at all, but rather yourself. It is your reflection. Where are we with that reflection? When you really absorb and understand what it means to see your image reflected in another, that's not just a concept. That is not just a biblical phrase. That is the actual way the energy is being used. It is a reflection. And there are places that I'd rather, just gloss over, but we can't. I didn't grow until I realized that what I was irritated with my dear beloved husband, with what he was doing some days, I had to stop and take account and see that it was a reflection of me. My impatience is a reflection of my impatience with myself. My unwillingness to see, grow, expand, become aware of elements of myself that I cannot tolerate, don't know exists. And I would invite all of you to just take a pause, and rather than react to this with a quiet glazing back and shutting down, the invitation now, in fact, we've talked earlier in other episodes, it is really a command when we can begin to see that this world is a reflection of us and us alone, me and me alone. So as I react to somebody, as I react to the political nature of the world today, and otherism is rampant, we look at everything outside of us and we think it is they who are impacting my life. And when will they understand me? All that's being reflected back to me is that I don't understand me. I don't get me. I'm not aware of me. I'm accountable. I'm causal and also the effect. So this opens up a huge conversation about how are we to move forward in this chaos of otherism and change the cycle of awareness and reflection so that what we send forward as a vibration, because sound is the first law of manifestation, and that lives on forever into infinity. What is it with my protestation, with my rage, with my yelling at the television, yelling at the radio, just the reaction that the world is in disarray? I must pause and look at it as my reflection. What level of disarray am I in?
This is such an important topic.
And it's delicate and it's scary.
And I think that it's so easy. Like in the work that I do, it's really about expanding the nervous system's capacity to hold sensation. And it's not naming the sensation as good or bad. Sometimes it's strong. Sometimes it's on the numb side and barely there, right? These, again, polarities that are happening. But this idea that a world lives inside of me. And some of that is the highest aspect of who I am. And some of that is the darkest, unprocessed pain and trauma and shadow that exists in humanity, right? The murderous rage that is innately a part of me because I'm a human being. Whether or not I manifest actually murdering somebody is a different story, but that all of those qualities live inside of me. And then we have relationships that we join into. And they bump up against the thing that is already alive in me. That's my grief. That's my fear. That's my terror. And yet it's so easy to just project that and say, if you would just please stop I could be comfortable and not feel this intense sensation that's emerging within me. And so it's easy for me to like, don't want to feel this, you're the problem. Rather than this inquiry we're inviting people into of, yes, there's a lot here in a human experience. And what is the gift of that person in front of you trying to give? Or what have you dreamt up to awaken to that's still dormant inside of you, that this holy teacher in front of you is bringing, right? And shifting our whole mindset around, oh, this is, like you said, I'm the impatient one, or I'm the angry one.
Or I'm the assassin.
Exactly.
Or I am the murderer. How many times have each of us wanted to just wipe somebody's face off the earth?
Right.
There are days now where people actually take action to do that.
Too many.
So why does that happen and how? Until we can find our accountability in this, we can't see the other as part of us.
Right.
And that's a tall ask.
I mean, what we're talking about is, again, mystical law, which takes decades sometimes to grow into.
The practice of being an awake human being.
Absolutely.
Because we have a lot of conceptual understandings. It's easy for us to go to concept. It's easier for us to jargonize. It's easier for us to spiritualize a lot of this growth. However, the application of these laws is what gets us through that really difficult place.
And what's so beautiful about it, and that we don't know what we don't know, right? But the minute we can say, this is mine, that moment of honesty then changes the whole dynamic of not needing that person or that situation to be reflected back to us, because we can then metabolize that thing that is still unconscious. And then we don't repeat that same relationship. You know, so often people in relationship is like, oh, I'm just going to break up or divorce you or what. And then they marry somebody exactly the same person in different clothes because that lesson wasn't learned, right?
Well, it wasn't absorbed.
Right.
And the learning happens after the awareness occurs. Right. It's like, oh my God, I have been that mad before.
Right.
I can see how you might stumble and fall. I've hit that curve before.
Right.
I've looked like an idiot before. And every time I am able to acknowledge that I am that which I judge you as being. Right. There's a beautiful line here that says, as human beings, we pick people apart. by saying, she does this, he does that. Oh gosh, how many times do we gossip? And every time we do that, you're taking pieces of yourself and throwing them away. Yes, you're taking pieces of yourself and throwing it away.
Right. I mean, that is outsourcing our power, which we've talked about. This process leads to the return of our innate sense of authenticity, where our power resides, right? And every time, I love that phrase. I've never kind of heard it put in that way of like, I'm throwing a part of myself away. I'm giving
You're
a part of
dissipating
myself.
the essence of you.
Yeah.
And no wonder you're just enraged. You've lost pieces.
Right.
But the thing to remember is that I am the one who did the tossing.
Right.
And, you know, it's like he uses the analogy of peeling an artichoke leaves until you're down to the heart, and even that isn't enough to satisfy you. You have thrown away the good portion of the plant instead of admitting you don't know what another person is.
Well, which gets into ego, right? Because we want to be right. We want to know.
Yeah. It breaks my heart. It's the kind of thing that until we can get to that place, and we have lots of conversations about mingling with others and finding new ways to invite opposing ideas. That's not the approach. It's not an outside in.
Right.
Until I can come to terms within myself and recognize I am all that and more. I am all those pieces.
Right.
I'm the fool. I'm the lost one. I'm the grand stander. I am the grand leader. I want to be empress. I want, instead of looking at something saying, well, you're a, and I've caught myself many times. It's an old habit. It's an old meme. It's locked into the brain.
Right.
And until we recognize that conversation about the ex-husband, the bad lover.
Right.
How many times have you disappointed yourself and you expected another to lift you up and be the thing you can't be for yourself?
Right.
And then the rage hits you because it disappoints you. Yeah. It will always disappoint you. And you will always contribute to the rage, the fear, the sorrow, the negativity. Yeah. That is choking us.
It's so painful. The manifestation of it in the world right now is excruciating.
And we wonder what to do.
Right.
How can I organize? What nonprofit can I create? It doesn't sit there.
Right. It's this internal experience.
One person. Yeah. It's like that beautiful story, The 100th Monkey.
Right.
Where the female monkey picked up a root, walked into the ocean, and washed it off. And in all the chain of islands, every monkey from that moment forward washed their root before they ate it. How does that happen? That's a vibration.
And I'm curious, just as we're speaking about this, and that first monkey went in and washed the root, right? It's like you have traveled this path. You have a deep understanding of these mystical laws. If there were something you could say of like, if the audience members are listening and they're like, well, how do I stop doing this? Like they can recognize this is resonating with them. It's ringing true for them. And they're like, okay, now what? Because we know knowledge isn't enough, right? Like what's the practice of really living within this law of reflection? Like how do you start practicing?
Well, and I'll start with the overview of these 5 prime laws can happen instantaneously.
Right.
All of them.
Right.
So when you get to reflection and you are aware that you have made sound, you put forth the idea that I'm going to live upon this planet in a way that lifts me up and every step of the way. And then I give direction to that thought by just picking up garbage. Or making a meal, or doing something good for myself.
Right, exactly.
All of that leads to awareness because you're changing how the nervous system operates. Sound, and we will get into this a little later in terms of tools,
right.
is a powerful way of re-regulating the nervous system that allows you to have the capacity to make a new choice, to
Right.
feel a new direction, and to give it a voice. But when it comes to reflection, when you've done those steps, you're able to say, and it will hit you as it hit me.
Yeah.
As it hit, because I remember with my dear, wonderful, fabulous husband, one day I was in this sort of cranky place for months,
Mhm.
and I made him the problem.
Right.
Nothing big. It's just like he just
Pick up your socks.
it literally was something that simple.
I know, right? And we make it feels like such
It's
a
huge.
big
Well,
thing
by the time
because
I
we're
blew up,
right.
it was several socks ago.
Right.
And then it hit me. This is about me taking care of me.
Mm.
It's not about him taking care of me.
Right.
If I see the sock, pick it up. If I don't like seeing the sock, then pick it up. If he doesn't see the sock, and I do, have there been things that I haven't seen that other people have picked up?
Right.
It's like creating a path of compassion and understanding and acceptance, because it is not about the husband or the other.
Right.
It is about me serving myself in ways that please me. So when I am fed, when I am self-loving, meaning for me, I give myself a lot of breaks in the head. You know, I cut myself some slack. I say, listen, you did the best you have available to you right now. This is your new now. This is where you are. You're good. I walk myself off of that ledge. Then others are not my issue,
Right.
because I'm empowered. And we're kind of brushing up against the next prime law.
I mean, they all sort
They
of
happen
happen.
boom, boom, boom.
Exactly. It's not this and then this and then this.
No, and you can't practice them separately.
Right.
Sometimes they happen in a split second. You've done them all.
Right.
Because you were able to step back, elevate, and move on.
Right.
You've got finite awareness, and then you move on. That becomes an awareness, but it starts with sound. And it's,
Well, and I want to say that I think it's so important because I also have been practicing and becoming more aware of my own experience. And in the beginning, we forget, and it's messy, and we're fumbling through the thing, and then, oh, I didn't really want to say that thing, but I said it, so now I have to clean it up. But then you get to the point where you can stop saying the thing, so there's less cleanup that's required, right? And this process of growth, and I love what you're saying of like, to be merciful and compassionate with ourselves. And when we start like that perfectionism or that holding ourselves to an impossible standard, and then trying to manage everything else that's not also there,
and expecting others to
and
do
then
the same.
it's like, oh, yep, I'm not going to get it right every single time. And you know what? Neither is my kid. And as soon as I can bring that kindness to myself, then of course I have more capacity to allow him his experience, right? And I just love that you're talking about, you will, like anything, riding a bike, you're going to fall down, you might crash, and the more you understand, the more you interrupt that unconscious cycle, and you put these principles into practice, the easier it gets.
And it dawns on you to use that principle.
Exactly.
You know, we learned to tie our shoe, and back then it was really frustrating.
So hard, yeah.
And now we don't even give it a second thought because it's already recorded.
Muscle
it's
memory
already
is there.
in there. So too, practice like this when you recognize, you notice yourself otherizing.
Right.
It's like he is bad, she is good.
Right.
You can pause and say, wow, what is this judgment that I'm putting forth and saying that this person is less of a person than me? And it's a critical place in our world right now, because every person, every neighborhood, every city, every county, every state, every country, every continent is doing that.
I know.
And just because someone else is doing that is not sanctioning my joining the sheep. that are following suit. I get to say things that are not believable, that once before would not come out of my mouth.
Right.
Where I say, this person has a right to exist. This person has a right to feel this way about the world. Why? Because I know I'm going to be okay.
Right.
I am doing my life. My happiness is not predicated on that person doing something for me.
Right. And there's also just the truth that there are 8 billion people on the planet having 8 billion unique divine experiences, however messy and off path that might be, right? And can we grow our capacity enough to allow the world to follow its rhythm? We were just talking about the cycles of our own growth and to honor deeply another human's experience of becoming, whether or not it resonates or looks
Tall
like
order.
myself. Or I mean, this
Tall
is
order.
the unity consciousness that we're growing into,
And
right?
this is the struggle. This is the, oh gosh, I can do this. And we pull, I was like, we're like a little bird cracking out of the egg.
Right.
We're about to be birthed into this new world. And we're the ones that have to peck at it. We have to tweet and peck.
And then we're going to come out slimy and messy and wet and vulnerable.
And we're going to look around and say, Mama, Mama, hi, Mama.
Are you my mama? Yeah. And then the baby,
world will say
right?
yes.
Yes, no, that. And then it's back to that first law we spoke about today, right? It is about me, my experience. What is it going to take my wings to fill out and fly out of this nest?
And until, and only until I have a relationship with myself, which means
the key.
I have to experience myself in order to have awareness.
To make
which
the mistakes.
Means you've got to make mistakes. You've got to risk everything. Yeah, gosh, it's scary. It's scary. And it's such a tendency. For instance, gossip. Please, let's talk about gossip. It is the corrosive element.
It's terrible.
That is otherized in such a way that establishes superiority over somebody who is being gossiped about. And we collectively come together, and as a group, we create force. And that force becomes a movement. And that movement says, let's get this out of there. Let's get this person, their heart. And we know through time what horrible things happen. Right. We're the ones changing that pattern.
Right.
We can only do it here and now with us.
You know, it's always like the macro and the micro and the inner and the outer and the big change that the world is calling for. But like the big change in the world is, it starts with my relationships. One with myself, but then my closest people, right? It's my kids, your husband, like, and when the energy and the vibration, right, starts, and then our communities change, and then our states change, and then our, you know, and that's,
and we can't see it,
right? I mean, we might
have
not
to be it. Yeah. There was a moment with the young people I worked with. And one of the scenes in the show was about this young woman's rape. It was very moving because the audience knew this was a real story. These were not actors making stuff up. And at the end of the show, the young people are invited to write up questions, and then sometimes they stay a little longer, and we're open for them to come and talk with us. And there was one young boy, far in the distance, standing, waiting. And one young woman who had that rape scene was one of the last to speak to people. He came up and he said to her, when I drink, I rape. And I'm scared. What do I do? And she knew that this young woman was all of, 17. Right. She knew this was the moment that she had been praying for, to meet the perpetrator, even though he wasn't the one. So that she could, this young woman, say, I get you. I see you. And I forgive you. He was only able to do that because those young performers had no dog in that fight. They weren't blaming. They were saying, you might do things that you don't understand you're doing and you don't know you're doing it when you drink, when you use, etc. You're not bad. You're not wrong. You're sick. There's a way to get well. And that's the same, even though that's a very dramatic moment, and not all of us are raped.
Right.
But yet there are emotional rapes, there are spiritual rapes, there are religious rapes. There are various ways that we feel ripped
That
apart
experience.
and our nervous system is traumatized. But that moment was a beautiful opportunity for reflection, where she saw in him fear that she had. She wanted to judge, she wanted to rage against him,
Right.
and that was inappropriate. It was not the truth. This was another lost soul who wanted to be seen and wanted, I don't know if he knew what he wanted, but she knew what she wanted to say, which is, I forgive you. And she was in essence saying, I forgive myself and for holding on to this pain. I reclaim that part of me.
And that's what becomes available, right?
Yes.
It is that reclamation. It is that. And I always, I've had come from a background of a lot of trauma, and I always, like, there is a moment in my own journey where I can get to the point where I can see that person as the holy teacher. It's like details of the experience that happened are kind of irrelevant, but me going through the reclamation process and bringing, it's like, then I can say thank you. It's not even I forgive you, it's thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Because
And
now
beyond there, you don't know what to do, but it's, yeah,
and I'm holding myself in thank you, me, for showing up, to not stop with that story, to not let it define me any longer.
Yes.
That, and then again, it's not about that other person, it's about me, and coming into the state of wholeness that is possible for all of us, no matter what we have experienced in this journey called life. Doesn't matter how dark it's been, how hard, whatever we have faced, there is a way to return by practicing awareness and applying these tools to really come into a state of wholeness where we're no longer defined. And we've integrated the pain. We've metabolized that part of our nervous system.
Well, I wonder if there are people listening who reach for the intellect to adjust and to say I accept, or and to those of you out there who are feeling that way, it is not an intellectual process. It is an internal process. I'm reminded of another moment with a client who we were doing a sound exercise with the soul song.
Mm-hmm.
And she came out and finished the soul song, which is just a spontaneous expression of sound that's coming out of your heart. And it was a very short experience for her, but she completed it and she opened her eyes and she said, I have a nephew that has stolen millions of dollars from the entire family. I have been in a rage with him for a couple of years. And she said, it's gone. I don't know what happened, but now I see him. I see his fear. I see his loss. I can't understand why he did what he did, but I can understand that that's where he was. So she was able to move into forgiveness, we could call it, not because she was having an idealized goal to reach forgiveness, but because something moved in her. Her sound launched something new. She ignited something that had been close to the surface.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really important to acknowledge here that we're also not saying that we're accepting bad behavior.
No.
Like, this is not like, oh, you did this thing and it doesn't matter. Like, that is not what this conversation is about. Horrific things happen. And they can be, in some regards, unforgivable. acts, right? And there is still healing
reclamation.
and reclamation
It has to
available
happen.
and possible.
Otherwise, that's the trajectory of your vibratory output.
Absolutely.
You're perpetually holding that victimized moment,
Which is then
as
going
a
to
reality.
reflect
And you
in
keep-
other
It
circumstances
keeps happening,
that
whether
keep
it's through the
repeating.
insurance company or
Yes.
the shoe salesman that gives you the wrong side, and you'll feel put upon one more time.
Yep.
It only changes when I can realize my humanity in you.
Right. And then that shift, and then the whole experience on the external changes, right?
I believe this is possible, which is why I'm talking about it now with you. I just don't think we know or are given permission to understand the energetic ramifications of our words, the sound of our voice, our thoughts, though
The energy behind them.
that's powerful,
yes.
but and the energy behind, and how that will influence the entire infinite world.
Yes. I mean, and we're just talking about our human experience, never mind the impact that has on literally
It's reflected.
galaxies.
It's reflected.
Yes.
What is happening here is happening in the other
multitudes of other
Yes.
realities,
So
right?
that rage, that negativity, there's so much saturation on Mother Earth right now that she will have to, and she is already, with
Resetting.
climate change and all of the ways that nature releases that toxic stuff.
Right.
But that same war, if you will, is happening in the ethers.
Right.
And we are going to be bombarded, and we are bombarded with that negative stuff. And it's up to us to stop putting it out. Just because you feel a righteous need to rail against some machine, it only perpetuates the rage.
I want to bring it back to the audience again, too, of like inviting them to really look at where in your life are you projecting? Are you making it about the other? And just in that space to pause, right?
Well, yes. And perceive yourself as a victim.
Right.
Therein lies the rub.
Right.
Because when you recognize sound as your primary law, direction as the imperative for you to engage the raw energy around you and give it direction, use your will to give it direction, and then you reflect, you see,
where are you at on that spectrum?
Yeah.
Yeah, because life will give you exactly what you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just like, if you want to know the state of your consciousness, look at the quality of your life, right? It's right there. And to be curious about it, and to be, inquisitive, and to see what's calling for change. Because there is a call for all of us in this time, especially.
Imagine being so completely accountable to the language you speak. Recognize that, and many, many great masters talk about the tongue as a sword.
Right.
What your words are doing, and I will talk more about this when we are doing the episode on the voice, but it's coming back around. You don't just put it forth. The nervous system is also responding to the words you put forth. So you are in ways slaying yourself.
So important to pause and understand the impact that we're having when we're in those negative states, and acting and moving and speaking from them.
My heart breaks when there are so many artists, so many great podcasters, so many great voices who really turn to polarized topics for why? To pit us all against the other for likes, for eyeballs, for listens.
Clicks, ads, money, it all plays into it, right?
And when are we going to have the courage to move from integrity, to move from, and I'm not even saying morality, because everybody has a threshold and an understanding of what is moral behavior for them. However, you. when you do this work, you're going to learn about you, and you'll know what right action is for you.
Right.
And maybe your right action is to walk away. Maybe right action for another is to lend a hand.
Right.
There's no wrong answer.
Or to speak the truth,
Or to speak the
risk,
truth.
it's like,
Or to, yes,
and discerning what each of those moments,
but it's a conscious choice.
Absolutely.
And this is the call. We're being invited. I love that word.
I know.
But
commanded. We're being commanded. It's time.
It's happening.
We're out of
Step up.
time to
Yeah.
wait for the invitation.
It is
right?
a time to step up. And each individual, it's an imperative to look within, find your rhythm, find your right action. And it's scary for people because we have such a polarized understanding and a fearful understanding of selfish, what it is to be selfish.
Right.
And I would take the Dalai Lama's perspective on this. It takes great courage.
Yes.
To stand in that level of selfishness where you realize that you have to take care of yourself.
It is about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about me. It's only about me. Mm-hmm. And we are interdependent. It doesn't mean we're not connected. It doesn't, we're not talking about just do the thing you want no matter the consequence. That's not what we're talking about here. But when I am intimately connected to who I am and I am taking care of myself and I speak from that place, even if it's not what you want, truth comes through and there's just an acceptance of it. Those sacred moments where the veils part a little bit and I don't like this at all. It's exactly opposite of what I want, but because you are in your truth, I'm in complete acceptance of what is occurring. Right. And then I'm out of resistance. I can grieve. I can do my whatever it is for me to do in that moment, but I can do it while honoring the other person and their experience.
Tell me, just for the sake of a conversation, what
Yeah.
is your most recent truth that you stumbled on that you spoke or acted upon?
I mean, I've had a few of them recently because I've just gone through a very, very difficult change in my life. But one of them, I come from a family of rage. Like there is deep rage patterns, and you can see on my tooth right here that there was a point in time where I was so afraid that my rage was going to hurt somebody else that I just clamped my jaws shut and I internalized it, and I literally broke my tooth off holding my anger in. So the other side of that is I'm so mad, I'm seeing red, right? Which hasn't happened in decades, but it's just this polarizing thing of my nervous system being overwhelmed by sensation and having no choice, right? So there's this small thread of the way this pattern moved through my grandfather and my father and me and my oldest son. Like he's the trigger. I can't control him because he's this wild spirit, and that part of me that needs to manage gets engaged with him, and then we lock heads and it's just a fight. And recently, as life does, it gives you all the socks on the floor until I'm like,
Right.
I've woken myself up out of the unconscious pattern of responding with anger because he's late, he's not on time, he's not following rules, and how out of control that makes that part of me feel. So I've self-resourced. I accepted the anger. Try as I might to not have it touch my kid, it came through. And that doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't make me bad. It means there is this really painful pattern trying to get resolution through my family lineage. And I get to be the one who says no more. So honesty, slowing down, self-accountability. And now it's like that charge that has just been going back and forth between my kid and I is gone. I surrendered into my powerlessness around the intensity from which I get overtaken in this very specific way. And now my kid and I can be like, I don't love that you come home late. I don't love that, you're growing up and pushing against and finding your independence, but I can be with what it is, which is him growing up and finding his independence and pushing against, which is totally age appropriate. It's exactly what he should be doing. And I'm losing him in a way that he's growing up, but I'm not losing him in the way it feels like I was prior to this, like, untangling of this knot in my being. And it has just changed everything for us. And I no longer have the shame operating of how bad I am because of this pattern
and
of
thus
anger.
the reaction.
And so, exactly. So now it's like, oh, I've metabolized this, what I have felt is just this horrible part of me, defective part of me that makes me completely unlovable. And none of that is true. It's just, here's what my soul is dancing with as it's learning and having its experience. And I really am committed to not passing this on, right? Like, and so my relationship with him now is completely different than it was 6 months ago. And it was because I stopped making it about him being late and really got honest about the impact that this pattern has had in my life and in my body and in my health. And then, like you said, I don't know why, it just, something shifted. And it's now completely different. I don't even get activated by his lateness anymore. It feels like a miracle. And I didn't do anything
right.
except for be honest with myself about what was happening and aware of.
You prepared the place, the space in you to.
And it was months and months and months of buildup. Like you said, in this period with your husband, it was months of discomfort and crankiness, right? And that breakthrough is wanting to happen. It's uncomfortable because something is trying to move through. And allowing that, finding a way to just be with that was, it has opened up the channel of love between my teenager and I, and has changed everything. And he's still coming home late, but he will text me that he's going to be late now. Like, sorry, Mom, I'm still running behind, but I'm coming. I'm on the way. He texts me, I'm on the way every time now.
And that shift happened in you. It was not him.
And because I shifted, his behavior is also matching.
The reflection changes. See, that's how it works.
It's so profound.
Yeah, I had to go through a situation. My husband is challenged right now with breathing, and it's hard, and he's having it's just challenging. And I didn't realize that I had been having this growing unease and a little cranky doing this or doing that around the house. And I love this man to my core. So I just had to, face it. And one day I realized that, two things happened. I fell and I cut my hand open. And my interpretation of this side of my body when I fell and I cut it open was, this is the arm, this is the part of me that moves forward and communicates the truth. So I had to ask myself, what truth
are you not?
Am I not speaking?
Communicating.
And I thought, well, to work and just, but no. It was the reality, the truth that I was beginning to feel a sense of service only through obligation. And how toxic that was. He's not asking me to help him and serve him. He may ask to pass the salt, he may ask to get the coffee, but I was in such a state of my buildup around service through obligation. That's toxic, that obligation.
It's that old pattern.
Very much so. Yeah. And, that was part of my family history. You are here because you're my daughter and you have to.
And
because you're obligated.
You do, yes.
You are, because you're the firstborn. You have to carry this for me. Whew. So we had that discussion.
Mm.
And I was wet and weepy and lost and apologizing and then trying to find my strength again. Say, I can't, and I yes and a no and he's just listening. He's such a teacher in that place of peace. He's like rock solid, and he says, "It's okay. I get it. I get it. I love you."
Mm.
So because of his reflection,
Yes.
I was able to rise above my own pettiness and fear and see why I carry that peace and accept the fact that I have that. It may never go away, but now I'm aware of it. And that little story that pops up, I say, "Hi, I see you.
Yes.
I see you, and I'm still going to get the coffee. So you can sit on the counter and talk to me if you want to, but I'm going to get him some coffee."
Well, and it's the inclusion. Nothing,
I'm not
no
resisting.
part of me is going away. I'm not cutting out or getting rid of anything. I'm including it. And that's the
part of
wholeness, right?
And until I can embrace all of those
Right.
facets of my jewel, my diamond, my Johara, will I be able to see that in others.
Right.
And it's taken me a long time. I've had this conceptually for a while, a long while.
Yeah.
But it takes time to come to that place of true acceptance. I know that it's just the beginning. Every day
It's just
is
the
another beginning. I had a tremendous experience with healing my body of a fatal illness that they said, "You're not coming back after this."
Right.
And then when there was no sign of any scarring, and okay, all right, begrudgingly, they said, "You're healed, now get out of here." And so that was the first salvo of
Right.
understanding what it is to use these prime laws that I didn't understand at first until I started reading this book and realized those are the pieces that fell into place. But then I get to go deeper, like you're talking about.
I mean, that is
and
the path of
deeper
the mystic. It's
and deeper
ever
and
deepening.
and it never ever completes itself,
Right.
because there's always something
Spirits
to
evolve.
learn
Yes.
and know about myself, and they get more subtle. But I have to tell you, the more I work with it, the more I can feel the gear shift and fall into place,
Yes.
like the aha. And I literally say, aha.
That's the sound. That's the acknowledgement you spoke about.
I get it. Now, if you were to ask me what I got, I couldn't repeat it. I have no idea, but I could feel it land.
Right.
And that's why I encourage all those who think that learning is an intellectual exercise. It's not. It's a sensory exercise. It's when the body, mind, heart, and soul is aligned and the body feels right and there's flow. You just know. And try to describe it to somebody. Like, good luck. You can't.
Well, and your experience of it is going to be, I'm going to have my own version of my experience with this, my own ahas, right? And all of us have access to that. The connection, the reframe, the acceptance, like that whole process that we go through.
And in keeping with reflection, we're talking about the distortion and the toughness of that. The other piece is amazing. Because
When you start seeing.
when God saw the light, you're the reflection of God seeing. So you are carrying within you all that is. There is no imperfection in the universe. And the part carries the same dynamic beauty, grace, and essence as the whole. So then we get to come around that corner and realize, I am the most beautiful being that I can be in this moment. And that isn't an ego. That is a
It's
recognition.
the truth. Your upcoming movie, The Gods We Came to Be, the title is that for a reason.
And it's worthy. It's worth it.
Yes.
Keep living. Keep getting off the
Keep
couch.
risking. Keep getting off the couch. Exactly.
Yeah. And instead of that old story of, no, I don't have enough money to do this, or no, I don't have the talent to do this. Do you think Bob Dylan has a great voice? No. And yet he is the most recognizable troubadour of our time.
Right.
Or at least of my time.
Right.
So it's not about being anything but integrous into the authenticity of who you are. That's when I look back and I had mentioned about who is it you admire. There are people who have integrity.
Those qualities.
Yeah. Who are going to be themselves. Maya Angelou comes to mind. And I remember one day waking up at 3 a.m. and for some reason I turned the television on. And there she was. In some weird VHS thing. I don't know. It was very odd. But there she is. And all she's saying is this proverb, this African proverb. And she says, beware of the naked woman offering you a dress. What? It changed my world. Because I was naked.
Yeah.
I had not yet clothed myself. I had not cared for myself. So what am I doing? Giving it away when I have nothing to give. So until I take care of this, my reflection is only going to be depletion, lack, no abundance in the world. There is no money not enough to go around. There's only one piece of pie left, and I'm not going to get it.
I mean, it really is scarcity consciousness, victim consciousness. These ways we're constricted, we're held back, we're living and operating from shadow. There are a million ways to define it, but you also have what is opposite of that, which we'll continue to talk about as we move forward in these laws. So we get to see not only where we're challenged in these ways and what's being reflected back, but all of the grace and the beauty and the generosity and the love of those nature, how it's always being shown back to us. And what lens are we looking through?
Wow. I love seeing my reflection in you.
Ditto.
Well, thank you for joining us in this very moving, for me. I hope it was, well, it will be what it's going to be for you. For us right here, right now, it was really a pleasure to be in this reflection. And going forward in this day, I know I will today be reflecting back this experience and being in front of others, whether it's the guy who cut me off in the street or etc. And I can just be observant and say, oh, wow, there's somebody who's in a hurry. Right. I've been there. There's somebody who's, instead of taking the right turn in the right turn lane, I bleed over into the other guy's. Oh, I've done that. So I'm not suffering in that way I used to once before. So I thank you for joining us in this particular episode, and stay tuned for the next delicious journey as we explore the world of sound and sovereignty through the 5 prime laws of manifestation. Thanks again for joining us. For more information, please visit soundshifting.com. There's a free gift waiting for you. We look forward to seeing you for our next episode. And in the meantime, don't forget the God you came to be.